Hi guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have my August 2020 flip through and my September setup. So August was a pretty good month and we're just gonna go through really quickly and show you guys sort of how this month ended up turning out at the end of the month after I had done all my reading. So this spread, my calendar obviously has stayed the same, nothing has changed. I have a notes section here, but so far I haven't really ever used it, so that might change eventually, but we shall see. And then so here we have my read every day and my page tracker spread. As we can see here, I did have 2 days where I did not read anything, which is pretty on par for what it's been so far this year, just the 7th and the 22nd. I did have a lot of days where I read physical books, which is the light purple obviously, and most of this was for the Diversify That Shelf readathon. I just had a ton of physical books I wanted to read, and then at the end of the month it got a little bit messy because one of the books I was reading was an ebook that was like 650 pages, and I just ended up reading that and like arcs simultaneously in between whenever I would, you know, feel like I needed a new book. But otherwise, I'm still really happy with the way I've been doing the page trackers. I like seeing the sort of bar graph setup that I have and, you know, color coding them. The next page we had my August TBR. There was a couple books I did not end up getting to, but otherwise I read most of what I planned on reading, which was amazing. I also did the Diversify That Shelf readathon, which I had mentioned before. I will leave the vlog linked down below for that, but I did end up reading 6 books in that 10 days. I just sort of decided to write in the diversity that I was reading it for, so a lot of it has to deal with the author's race or the race of the characters inside the book, but I also ended up reading some for diversity of sexuality as well as chronic illness and physical disabilities, and they did have sort of like, I considered it more of a bingo board, but they were just putting their prompts in a board like this. And I did end up reading books that had a different culture than me, by a Black author, a diverse contemporary, by a Latinx author, a person of color on the cover, an own voice book, a diverse book with more than 300 pages, and a book by an author of color that I've wanted to read for a while. So I'm pretty happy with how much I was able to read. Then we have my book haul. I will leave that link down below as well in case you haven't seen it yet. I bought more books than I really thought I was going to, but you know, it happens. My favorite book of the month was I'll Be the One by Lila Lee. That's a young adult contemporary. I absolutely loved it. And then we have my favorite quotes page. Again, one thing that I've been noticing is that a lot of my favorite quotes come from books that I rate 4 or 5 stars, which I guess is not surprising. But I also have a book on here that I only rated 3 stars. But again, the quotes, you know, were great. A lot of the quotes this month are funny quotes. And now we're getting into the books read. So I do have 4, 8, 12, and 15. I, again, am very happy with the books that I read. And then we finally have my stats. I ended up putting a piece of paper over here because I do about 4 books, like this template for my books in a row. I do 1 page at a time, and so I actually did have a space for a 4th book, but I just didn't end up reading it, so I put a paper over it and put my stats there. But for this month I did have 3 arcs, 2 ebooks, and 10 physical books. Of those books, 1 was middle grade, 5 were YA, and 9 were adults. And then for my stars, I did have 6 5 stars, 3 4 stars, 5 3 stars, and 1 2 star. So now we're going to be getting into my September setup stuff. Again, because of my son and how long it takes me to actually draw everything out, I have never been able to do it in just 1 sitting. I've already set up everything, and so we're just gonna flip through how I set it up. So September is gonna be a little bit different for me, and this is the first time you guys are hearing about this, so surprise! I am doing Shadowhunter September. I will have vlogs all through the month for this as well, but this is the first video you guys are hearing about it because I did not do a TBR video. And basically I've been wanting to reread the Shadowhunters books. I'm like 4 or 5 books behind in all of the series, and so I'm going to attempt to read all 18 Shadowhunters books in 30 days. I don't know why I picked September, except for this is just how it ended up being, but the stickers that I use, since I always use Stickii Club stickers, I will again leave them linked down below. I mostly used the dark rainbow pack that we actually unboxed in August, which I absolutely love, but the only thing that is different is I do have these sort of skyline stickers that I'm using for my days of the week, and those were from the modern architecture pack. Those are the only ones that are not dark rainbow themed. They just seem to fit the aesthetic very, very well. But yeah, so here is the month of September. We have a very common Shadowhunter quote at the bottom. It says, "Looking better in black than the widows of our enemies since 1234. And going into the next page, as you can see, I'm filming this on September 3rd, so I've already done days 1 and 2. And because I'm reading the entire Shadowhunter series, world, however we want to call it, all of the books that I own are physical books, so I'm not going to be reading any ebooks or ARCs or anything like that, really. So what I ended up doing is color coding every single book that I should be reading this month, based mostly on the cover color. That way I can just sort of see how long it takes me to read a book. Now, one thing that my husband noticed before I noticed, and I had already set everything up, my graph for my page tracker only goes to about 300. I have had days where I've read more and it just sort of goes off the page, and I do write in the page number, so it's not a big deal. However, in order to actually read all 18 books in 30 days, I'm supposed to read 341 pages a day, which means I should actually be reading past the end of this graph every single day. As you can see, it has not happened yet, but we'll see as we go through. So now we have the September TBR. I am doing a way of reading that Riveted Lit has put out. I will leave the link for that down below, but I talk about it more in my actual vlog that I've started doing. This is based on an order that Cassandra Clare actually talked about a few years ago. So we do have like Mortal Instruments Part 1, Eldest Curses, Infernal Devices, Mortal Instruments Part 2, some of the short story collections, the newest book that just came out on September 1st, The Lost Book of the White, The Dark Artifices, another short story collection, and The Last Hours. This is supposed to be one of the better ways to read it. Like I said, I'm only like 4 or 5 books behind in this series, so I've read most of these before, so the order doesn't matter as much, but this is the order I'm going to be reading it in. I also have a couple spaces up here because I do feel like I'm actually probably going to add some more quotes around all this, just because it is a whole Shadowhunter month. And then this is actually the last spread that we have done. I have my book haul up here. I'm really hoping to keep it down. I know I've already purchased some stuff in September. Lots of books are coming out in September. It's just when lots of books are coming out because some of the books got pushed back due to COVID. But I'm hoping they will all fit in this area. This is gonna be my favorite quotes area. I might do more setup here as well, but I'm not going to pick a favorite book of the month because I love the Shadowhunters, and I think I've rated most of the books 4 or 5 stars, so I feel like that's just gonna be way too hard to pick. So this is a favorite quotes area. And then I'm starting here with my books read because of the fact that I'm doing 18 books, or trying to do 18 books. We're gonna have 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18 stats or something there. And then I can start in October with a brand new page. So that's how this is going to work. Again, this is slightly different. There's no readathons that I'm participating in because I don't think I could fit Shadowhunters books perfectly into readathons. But that's it from me. I hope you guys like this setup. Again, I feel like this is one of those ones where it's not necessarily my favorite setup. I really loved last month's setup, but that's only because I'm trying to work in a very, very tight theme, and I don't think that's working for me quite as well as like the sci-fi theme I had last month. Like, I'm loving these sort of pages that I had going on, but I'm still very, very excited for this month. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I have videos up Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!